Well, everybody, we're back once again to episode 2 of the TO Sports Talk podcast. I'm, your host, James Price, along with my good buddy, Evan Brown. How you doing, bud?
Not bad. Yourself?
We're doing all right.
Awesome.
And here we are again, round 2, and a lot of crazy things happened this past week. You got the Stadium Series, yesterday's weird goalie interference call.
I guess just the Leaf struggles in general, really.
Yeah, I mean, since we did this podcast, they haven't been playing that well. I mean, maybe there's a curse involved there. No, probably not. But for the Raptors, they've learned to close games a little bit better. They've played Charlotte, and they shouldn't really have had to close a game there, but they did.
No. In the Blue Jays when it comes to their injuries.
And we talked about in the last podcast about if this Jays team can stay healthy, then they could be a wild card team. And we see already with some key injuries. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But what we're going to start with is Leafs and the stupid Stadium Series.
Yeah. I noticed. I watched the full game obviously on the Saturday. Weird vibe, just everything really with the lights, the stadium itself. I don't know what was going on with the camera angles. If you guys watched it, the Leafs jerseys themselves, I honestly think those were the worst jerseys I think I've seen the Leafs ever. In history.
Like I said in my video, they look like Michelin men.
The white helmets were weird. The white gloves were weird. You know what? The jerseys themselves weren't bad.
Well, that's why when I first saw the jerseys, I'm like, there they are. It actually look pretty good.
I feel like
the whole concept.
Yeah, the whole concept.
The white everything looked gross.
Yeah, and again, I felt like the helmet should have been blue. The gloves should have been blue. Yeah.
Everything but the jerseys, I don't know. I'm not going to design their jerseys for them, but
no, but the jerseys themselves,
they looked all right.
It was just too white, white with all their equipment. And I swear to God, if I would have saw white skates,
God, that would have been awful.
That would have been But
and then you look at the Caps jerseys. I mean, they looked better, but they still look like they're wearing pajamas, like you said earlier. To me,
it
was awful.
Before we started recording, and I don't like how they just said Caps on them. I'm not. Again, maybe I'm just old fashioned, but I don't like how they have
like the vintage logos. I get that.
Yeah, vintage where it says full capitals. I didn't like how they said Caps. The W on their pants were a little weird as well. And
the one broad perspective that I have is not just the Stadium Series game, whatever it is. The whole outdoor games have been washed away.
Because
before it used to be once a year, New Year's,
Winter Classic.
Winter Classic, and it was a special time of year.
This whole Stadium Series crap, it's not
even that, man. You look at a couple of years after, I think it was a year or two after the Detroit one with the Leafs, where they won in the shootout at the Big House. You do like 3 different games. Then you have Ottawa and somebody else playing, and we're like, wait, what? When did this happen?
Exactly.
It's not so...
I think there's 2 Winter Classics and 2 Stadium Series a year. And again...
There's no point. Really.
I see what Bettman's doing, though, because it's a cheap way of, making money. Because
you put them in these bigger stadiums,
with 65,000, 70,000 people, they're going to sell. And like you said, and I just think they're overdoing it. I remember when the Winter Classic, the first one was 2008. I think it was Pittsburgh and Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. That was awesome. That was a special time. They had it once a year. It was outdoor. It was snowing, which helped. But having an outdoor game in March, I get it. Still technically winter. It just doesn't feel right having a game like this so late in the season for the Leafs and the Caps.
Starting the new year with the only Winter Classic of the year. It just made it more, because you guys remember the hype for the game at the Big House with the Leafs and Red Wings. There was so much hype behind that.
There was, again, it was this was in 2014. The second Winter Classic we had with them, there was hype, but it wasn't as much as the Big House.
No, because there's so many games.
And plus, that was the Leafs' first Winter Classic, 2014.
Right.
Over the years, it's gotten worse. Bettman's not going to put a stop to it. He's making too much money off it.
Bottom line, the outdoor games have gotten old. The jerseys and equipment sucked. The games sucked.
And no alumni either, which, I could see why they didn't do it, like a whole, alumni thing for the Stadium Series, but...
Right.
I don't like, and it doesn't help the Leafs loss, but even if the Leafs did win, my teams on it wouldn't change.
It didn't have any hype towards it. I mean, for goodness sakes, a lot of people in Leafland didn't even know it was a Stadium Series game until, the night before, or the game before.
It was funny because I texted my dad about it, and he's like, oh, sweet, an outdoor game. It sounds great. It sounds great on paper, but then when you start watching it, it's like...
Well, the lighting was atrocious.
The lighting was bad. The camera angle, it was too far out.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. The jerseys didn't help at all. The wind, I don't like how they switched.
Well, I think it was because it was in that stadium. I think they were going to try somewhere else, and like next year or something, because the way the stadium is, the wind becomes a big factor, and that's stupid. You should know that before you plan it.
Well, yeah, because there's wind. First of all, you're up north. I don't know where Navy.
I think it's near Washington somewhere. Okay. I just don't know exactly.
It's near
where.
It's near Washington somewheres, but you kind of. Again, you have to expect that. There's nothing better than having a nice... I get it's outdoor. I get it's old-fashioned. I understand that. But, nothing beats having a clean game with no distractions, no lights, no wind in a nice indoor
Well, if I'm not mistaken,
stadium.
on the ice, there were like shadows on the ice.
Yeah, and because of the way the lights...
That's awful.
And plus, I was shocked that they even played the game so late at night. Like,
well, yeah, because usually it's in the day where you don't have to use the lights.
Yeah, 12 o'clock, but it was at night. I get they had the lights, but it's like, really?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
Sour taste in our mouth. It doesn't help the Leafs lost, but even if the Leafs did end up with the W...
It wouldn't really feel any different than a normal win. It really wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
Just because there was no hype towards this, right? I mean, you look back, real quick before we wrap this subject up. I mean, you look at the shootout against, obviously, Detroit, and then the overtime winner with Matthews scoring last year. I mean, you look at the celebrations. Like, we literally felt like we won a Stanley Cup when we played those games.
Yeah, and again, they did make a good game out of it, Detroit, for sure.
Yeah, those games were fantastic.
Yeah.
Both games went to overtime in a shootout. I mean...
And I think the Leafs in just general, beside the whole Winter Classic, they've just been struggling. They haven't looked good at all. Freddie Anderson, I get it's a huge workload for him. He has been the MVP for this team.
Absolutely.
The rebounds he's letting out is...
Lately, yeah, it's been rough. But you arguably say that goalies should make the initial save and defensemen got to clear the puck out. Now, I understand some rebounds are that you can't let that out. But.
And that's exactly what I noticed with Freddie is that, yes, I do agree with you. The rebounds, steer them to the right, steer them to the left at least. I don't know if it's Freddie Anderson just letting them out.
You know what? Arguably, those are when they're easy shots. You can direct them, but when they're tough shots, I mean,
he's been doing it all season.
Exactly.
Right, and I don't know if it's the workload, if it's the whole Winter Classic.
It could just be a rough stretch.
And and all goalies have that. All players.
And
have
I mean,
that.
we saw yesterday the way the puck was bouncing, the way everything was going that game. You could tell the Leafs and Freddie Anderson are in a weird spell. You can just see it.
They are.
And
the
also,
whole team, really.
Something we want to get to real quick, or not really real quick, we'll have a good discussion about it, is the goalie interference. We haven't talked about this at all in the first podcast or today yet, but here we go.
We haven't talked about it because...
No. It hasn't been a big factor, It
hasn't gotten better, but it hasn't affected the Leafs
lately.
But it's affected many teams in the league, and I don't know what
the question I have for you.
Yes.
And it's a very broad question. I don't even think you'll answer it.
Why, thank you, sir.
Well, there you go. What is goalie interference?
Nobody knows, and I saw you tweet this last night. Well, and nobody knows. It's I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory. I don't think it is. But
is it if the goalie can make the save?
You wonder. The same thing with Boston. Me and you are both Leaf fans. We saw that what was this, 2-3 Saturdays ago?
Well, the last win against Boston.
The last win against Boston. That should not have been a goal.
No, because did Zach Hyman push the guy into Tuukka Rask, who couldn't make the save?
No.
If he had that extra second,
he would have
been over in time. That would have hit his chest. No problem.
And then it would have been into overtime. And Boston could have won that.
Who knows?
That's us being unbiased Leaf fans. That goal, I get it was a 4-2 game to make it. No, was it 3-2?
That made it 4-3. That goal made it 4-3.
No,
it was the 3-3 game at the time.
No, but I'm talking about the Sabres game last night.
Oh, it was 5-3.
No.
Final.
Oh, no, but I'm saying like after they got the goal. Was that 5-2?
The goalie interference goal? That was the last one. That was the 5-2 goal.
5-2, okay. Yeah. I get it was 4-2. They scored it was 5-2. It doesn't matter, though.
At that point, it was over.
You got to make the call right.
Yeah.
And again, the Leafs have been screwed multiple times on this situation. It went in favor with us on Boston. I think that's the only one time it did.
It didn't go away this way. We all. I mean, like the way I try.
But it's so clear that makes me so frustrated. The call is so clear.
That's why
Babcock just smiles afterwards.
Because he's like, I don't even understand this anymore. And he said after the game that we got to change this stuff for the playoffs. Because if this type of goal decides a playoff series, you can only imagine the mayhem that's going to cause.
Let alone Stanley Cup Finals if that ever happens.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Well, for any team really.
Yeah.
It's just the way I look at it, and I always try to figure out what goalie interference. There's my opinion.
Sometimes it is a gray area.
If there's a little bit of contact, does the goalie have time to make a save? We go back to the Colorado game when Jonathan Bernier got quote interfered by Austin Matthews. First things first. Yes, he did kind of hook up the stick a little bit, but the puck was already almost in the net.
Yeah.
Bernier had no clue where the puck was, and it's not like the puck was going to stop and they were able to clear it out. That puck was going right in.
Yeah. And again, like you saw Matthew's celebration after he scored the, giving him the good goal sign.
Of course, because it's clear as day it's a goal. Then you go to the Chicago one where I forgot who it was, fell on top of Freddie Anderson. Now, it would have taken a heroic save to make the save, yes. But he had no opportunity to make the save. And they called that a good goal. And then there's obviously the Boston game.
We're winning in our favor for once.
We're winning in our favor, but it should have been called back. And then yesterday's goal got called a good goal when it should have been called back.
Yeah.
So it's just all over the place.
It's all over the place. It isn't good. And again, if we want, like, let's just say that it was in our favor again against Buffalo, and we did winning the game with that goal, I would still be pissed. I was pissed off about the Boston game. It's like
I was happy the team won, but I was bitter because we shouldn't have won that, or at least shouldn't have won it there.
In regulation,
yeah,
it should have went overtime. So that's why I'm a bit iffy about. But the Leafs do have to smarten up. It's not all because of the calls.
No,
they shouldn't even got there in the first place, right?
Right.
That whole game was weird. Again, you were mentioning about the Ron Hainsey clearing it, went off the ref's skate right to Ryan O'Reilly.
I mean, what are the odds that Ron Hainsey's going to try and clear it all the way around the boards? Like, he's behind his net. He's just deciding, I'm going to fire it all the way around the boards.
It's a play he makes 100 times.
It's a play everybody makes 100 times. And you fire it around, referee jumps, and arguably so. I'm not saying it's the ref's fault because you get a puck fired at you. You're not just going to stand there and say, okay, if it hits me, it's going to go right in front. No, you got to get out of the way somehow. He jumps. The puck hits his skate and takes a beeline right to the front of the net. I mean, you could do that a million times and it'll never happen, but it happened there.
It's not the ref's fault,
No, it's just the stupid luck in that game.
It was so funny. Once Ryan O'Reilly did score, you just saw the ref just kind of give like the good goal sign, but he's like, jeez.
Yeah, I forgot the guy's name, but it was Ryan O'Reilly assisted by the ref. Because, nobody else made.
Yeah, but he felt guilty when he gave the good goal sign.
I bet he did. I mean, but there's nothing you can do.
No.
I mean, I think the rule is the puck can't go off a ref and go in.
I didn't know that. Actually.
But it can set up a goal. So we saw it there.
And it set up the most beautiful assist in the whole game.
Well, that made it 4-2. I mean, it was a 3-2 game at the time, and you look at the 3-2 goal, it was kind of a weird centering pass that hit. I mean, both guys were battling in front of them. It just hit somebody and then just tucked in the post past Freddie. Yeah. I mean, it was just a game where you're like, it was stupid. 2 tip-ins to start the game, and then the stupid
we were pretty much playing at
pass
home
in
too.
front. Yeah, pretty much. And then it was just a game we got to try and forget.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough.
We got to bounce back. It's not going to be easy
Honestly,
on Saturday against Pittsburgh.
As much as this team on paper looks okay, and they just haven't been playing well, you see the whole of Austin Matthews. I mean, as much as the team's been playing okay without him,
and we do have the quote unquote center depth with Buchanan. It's not
right. He hasn't been playing well, but I think if you throw Austin Matthews into the mix, you can move out Don Moore. Because Don Moore, I mean,
Matt Martin actually played great last
He played great last He hasn't played in 18 games, and you fire him in there, and if you look at the replay, the second pass from Matt Martin, it was kind of like he wasn't expecting the pass, so he just kind of fired it back to him.
Yeah,
and it was
I'm surprised he even passed it back because it was getting pretty close. With
I don't think he meant to pass it back, but I mean, it looked beautiful, and Leo
doesn't matter. He got
also. We talk about
we've been ragging
yesterday
on Leo a little bit.
We talk about we'll get to that in a second. But we talked about last night's game and how it was so bad.
Yeah.
Look, the team didn't play that well in front. They had 41 shots to 24. They did.
Give Buffalo credit. They played good. I know we didn't play as good, but give credit where credit's due to Buffalo.
We outshot them almost double.
Yeah, but
Chad Johnson played well. I thought he was terrific, and we talk about how this Leaf team is so great and how their offense is so great. Look, Leo Komarov scored 2 of your, I'm going to say only goals because Mitch Marner scored late on the power play and you were down by 3. It doesn't matter.
2-goal game in his career.
Right. And he hadn't scored in, what, like 20-odd games? Good for Leo.
Yeah.
Good for him.
You know,
as much as I don't think he'll be back next year, and I thought he would have been traded at the deadline, good for him.
Yeah.
You saw the smile on his face after that second goal. He needed that.
Yeah, he did. He did.
But also, something that his team needs is Austin Matthews.
Yes.
I mean, you just see the whole, you see the discombobulation of the team.
Because what? Who's playing? Is it?
It's Nylander's playing the first line center spot,
and
he's not bad. But then you have Hyman, but who's playing up with them?
I don't even know who it is. No, it's Kapanen. Isn't it?
Right, okay, well, if it's Cap, I love that kid, man.
I do, but I noticed about Kapanen, especially in the Caps game, if he's in front with somebody battling in front of the goalie, he can't get the other player. Like, he can't push him out because there's been, I think it was Kuznetsov. I don't know who scored on the Saturday there, but I don't know if he's not strong enough, but I don't like him on the PK at all. I don't like Kapanen on the PK at all.
In my eyes, I think he's a little too aggressive. I understand you want the shorthanded goals sometimes, but you're first and foremost, you got to kill the penalty.
Exactly.
No, again, I'm not going to. He's still 21, or is he 22? Something like that.
22, I think.
Right. But he's still so young.
Oh yeah. He's got time to develop.
And this is his first big shot that he's gotten. I mean,
he doesn't look bad except for the Caps.
All right,
game.
I'm not going to say this is their first big shot, but he did have that Peter Horacek time. Was it Peter Horacek?
He was up with the team then.
Was it that? No, sorry. It was the following year with P.A. Parento and all them. When they later in the year, when they called
Babcock's first, yeah.
Right, when they call up Nylander and Kapanen and Soshnikov.
Let's just say
Hyman.
his first, well, not really full season, but his first real shot. Because
it's absolutely his first real shot.
He doesn't look bad. He's still young.
And he's been all over the lineup. He hasn't really found a home yet.
Quickly, just check his numbers right here.
Yeah, his numbers aren't the greatest, but I just like the energy he brings. His speed. I mean, he's quick off the puck. Where he can be standing still and then bang, he's gone.
25 games, 6 points, 4 goals.
Right, so it's not like a big number, but most of the time he's been playing on the fourth line.
Yeah,
he is playing penalty kill, and arguably the Leafs are top 5 or so in penalty kill. I'm not saying that's all to do with Kasperi Kapanen, but he's on that penalty kill.
Yeah, he's a factor. Again, I'm not too crazy about him on the PK because he can't really battle in front of the net as well.
Right, but that's not a winger's job. A winger's job is to.
Well, I don't know why Babcock's put him in that situation then.
I think he played for the Marlies on the PK. So he's been.
Yeah.
I mean, why did Freddie Goat play with the Leafs PK when he was up here? Right, because he's good. But
just looking into the next couple games again, we said we got the Pens on the Saturday there.
That's going to be tough. They're playing well. We're not. However, this 4 days off, 5 days off, whatever it is going to be nice.
Is Matt Murray hurt?
Even if he is.
Yes, Matt Murray is hurt, so they're putting in, who's this, Casey to Smith. So
he's playing well. The team's winning. No matter who's in net for this team, they're winning games. And we could throw in Curtis McElhinney, and he's been winning his games, right? So
do you start with McElhinney on the Saturday?
No, God, no. You got to stay with Freddie. I mean, he's your guy. He's your guy.
Yeah, after a struggle. So yeah, looking at. So again, we got the Pittsburgh on the Saturday there,
and we don't play for like 3 more days after that.
No, Tuesday, no. Wednesday, Dallas.
Dallas at home, and then I think it's a back-to-back where against Buffalo again.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Thursday, Buffalo at home.
Right.
And then
following Saturday,
Montreal. We got next Saturday, Montreal.
Oh, baby, Montreal.
Couple games you got to win.
We haven't played Montreal at home this year, I don't think. The overtime win early in the year with Matthews, and then that we crushed them
and 4-0. Yeah.
So those were both in Montreal.
I think the first. No, are you
first
sure?
one. The first one was on the road.
So we got 2 more games against Montreal then.
At home.
At home. So
that's nice.
That is nice with Pacioretty out, Shea Weber out, Carey Price out. I feel like Montreal just going straight for Rasmus Dahlin.
It's funny because everyone's like, oh, well, first off, they got to get through the draft lottery first before we start talking about that. Yes. But it's what, Montreal fans make me laugh a little bit. They talk about Marc Bergevin's stupid, and that's the one thing I agree. That's the one thing. And then you look at this, we're just going to tank for Rasmus Dahlin, and then we're going to be right back in the playoffs.
It's like, that's not...
That doesn't solve your goal-scoring issue.
There's center issue.
Yes, and you're wasting another year of Carey Price.
And Shea Weber. And Pacioretty's looking like he's on his way out. I'm surprised he didn't get a deal done.
It's like, that team's in shambles. Ottawa. I mean, that team's in a mess.
I think Ottawa's worse off than Montreal.
Now, we talk about... yes, they're tanking for Dahlin or whatever, you want to say... But you could possibly lose Erik Karlsson. Most likely. It doesn't look like they're going to get him back.
They have a stupid owner in... Is it Eugene Melnick.
Yeah.
Thinking about, it's.
I got to admit, if they were going to call for an all-out rebuild, I'm shocked they didn't take anything for Bobby Ryan. They didn't take anything for Hoffman.
The thing is about Bobby Ryan is that, like, the team would take on his contract, then just buy him out. That's what a team would probably do if Bobby Ryan was attached to Erik Karlsson in an Erik Karlsson deal.
Yeah, and that was a stupid move by trying to attach them, because that's just going to drop the value of Karlsson.
You know what, though? But Ottawa actually made the right decision in keeping him for the draft, because they can easily move up if they really wanted to the, I don't really think the first overall pick, but definitely But
even the first overall pick, if you trade Karlsson, okay, great, you got Dahlin.
Who else do you have?
Have you really gone any better?
Yeah.
Not really. If anything, you've gotten worse by getting rid of Erik Karlsson.
Yeah. And again, we all know that Montreal's probably going to give Tavares a boatload of money. And
so you're telling, okay, all right, great. They give Tavares some money. How much cap left do they have? They actually
no. I did actually look up this on Cap Friendly. They actually do have, I think, the third most cap in the league. So they have no cap trouble. Ottawa has cap trouble.
They don't have any cap trouble right now.
No, I know, but they will.
I understand that. If they give Tavares a ludicrous amount of money, you've got an insane amount in Tavares, you've got a joke amount of Shea Weber, and you've got Carey Price.
Who's over... I get it's
Those
Carey Price.
Those are 3 huge contracts.
Mm-hmm. And then you're going to lose Pacioretty. I can't see Pacioretty re-signing with Montreal.
No, and that's your captain.
And Pacioretty...
He's just going to walk, and everyone's like, that sounds about right.
Pacioretty's on a gorgeous deal. I think he's making, $4.55 mil right now?
Yeah. So, Montreal is just in a weird... Same with Ottawa, I kind of think...
Ottawa's worse off than Montreal, because at least Montreal does have... Ottawa has no cap room.
Right. They're in a joke of a spot right now.
No, they are.
And it's funny, Ottawa could suck this year. And they could be great next year. Mm-hmm. They're a team that's like a flipping pinball machine. You never know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Because you look at back in the day when they made last year they made it to the conference finals.
They were 1 goal away from making it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right, and then this year you're in the bottom of the league. What?
Yeah, that just proves that it wasn't meant to be. It was never meant to be.
No.
Ottawa should just start. In my opinion, Ottawa should start.
They should
start from the ground up. Yeah. Again, I feel like you should trade Karlsson, trade Hoffman. You should probably keep Stone.
See, the thing with Karlsson is, trading him at the deadline this year, if they did, you get, the team that gets them back is a playoff run and an entire year and another playoff run.
Yeah.
Now
that's a season and a half. Now it's just a season if they trade him at the trade deadline.
The trade value's gone down.
No,
I wouldn't say that. Well, you're getting less out of him now.
If he performs well, it's because this is the worst year that Erik Karlsson has ever had in his career.
Absolutely.
If he starts to produce like he has been for the rest of his career from now until the draft, pretty much, or now until 20 more games, his trade value can rise. And he's the type of guy to put up a point per game as a defenseman.
Right, but I'm not saying I don't think him struggling is dropping his trade value. I think it's the contract. Because you're not going to give up a first-round pick, a grade A prospect, for 1 year. For 1 year.
But if you win the cup, that's worth it.
Right, but that's all if.
Yeah.
Right? If you trade him at the deadline, you had 2 shots at it.
That's why I feel like...
that's what I'm going to throw out a baseball thing here. Josh Donaldson for the Jays. If they traded him last year at the deadline, they would have gotten a ton back. And it looks like they're going to go into the season with him. And if they get to the deadline and the Jays are no good and they want to trade him, his trade value is nothing because he's a rental.
Yeah.
So it's like... That's kind of the same situation that the Ottawa's in, and unless they trade him in the offseason, which I think is, if you're going to trade him at all, you're trading him.
You would trade him at the draft.
Right.
And then maybe get another top 5 picks. Ottawa has 2 top 5 picks, if that's the case.
I don't know if they trade it to a team that's bottom in the league when it comes to, that kind of stuff. I think they trade it to a contending team.
Yeah.
So a first-round pick really wouldn't mean a whole lot, but it would because it's a first-round pick.
Could potentially speed up the whole rebuild if they do get in grade A. Because Ottawa's... pretty sure, from my understanding, Ottawa's asking a grade A prospect, 2 first-rounders, and a roster player.
That's a lot. And right now, that's a lot. If that was the deadline asking for it...
But yes...
They tried to attach Bobby Ryan as well. Honestly, if you try and attach Bobby Ryan with that, it's not going to happen.
But a team would be like, we can kind of revitalize Bobby Ryan's career. A team's thinking that, so is old Anaheim days. It's not going to happen.
No, especially with that that contract, it's not worth it.
$7 million?
It's not worth it.
No, it's not worth it.
So
but Ottawa's
crazy.
all the Canadian teams pretty much screwed. Edmonton screwed. You got.
They're just in a weird year.
No, they're definitely. Connor McDavid has no one to play with, and they're going to be in cap hell because next year that's when he gets his big boy contract starts kicking in. Leon Draisaitl's making $8.5 million. You got and they have and Lucic is making $6 for the next 5 years after this year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they have no wingers. Jesse Puljujarvi hasn't looked bad, but. Looks like us in Winnipeg are only the good Canadian
and Winnipeg
teams this
actually
year.
Surprised me, to be honest. The way they've been bad for so many years, like over the past few years, they haven't made the playoffs. They've been top notch picks for a little while, and I understand that like on paper their team looks really good, but their goaltending's been an issue. Well, they've answered that with Connor Hellebuck this year.
Well, going into the season, they thought that it was Steve Mason's the answer.
I laughed when I heard that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like Kevin Cheveldayoff is not getting the attention he needs.
No,
he's that Paul Stastny was if he does take a pay,
the Blues.
exactly, and if he does take a pay cut in the offseason, he can stay with the team for another maybe 3-4 years.
But then you think about Patrick Laine's contract, right?
That's why, but the whole pay cut thing, right? But it's looking like like the Leafs have been struggling, but it's just every team goes through this. I'm not concerned.
Last thing I'm going to say before we wrap up hockey is I'm glad the Leafs are having their struggle now than like 4 or 5 games left in the season.
Because you don't want to go into the playoffs with a losing streak. That's
right.
the worst.
I want them to
every team in the season, every team has one area of the season where it's rocky.
I think the Leafs had 2 where they lost like 6 straight, but then they were great afterwards.
This season?
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. I mean, we got points out of it though, so that was that.
We got
today. I mean, this time we've lost 4 straight technically, but we've gotten to overtime or shootout twice.
So technically, it's more like a 2-game losing streak. If you, I mean, it's still a 4-game losing streak, but we got 2 points out of a potential like 8.
I mean, that's not a lot, but it's
not
something.
Good. But like you said, I want to have it now rather than at the end of the season.
So that's going to wrap up the hockey portion
Moving on to the old Raptors.
We're going to talk Raptors, a little bit of basketball here, and the Raptors. I mean, since we last talked, they haven't lost.
No,
but they
struggled against the Hornets.
They really did. And I mean, I got to give Charlotte credit. They played hard defense and they were really solid. But that's a team you got to beat. That's a team you gotta beat. And then you know what? The bench looked human in that game. And
it wasn't the mob or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
No, bench mob.
Yeah, they're not going to be perfect every single night. No. And that's that. And then you go back to the Wizards game where they won by 7 in Washington. Look, I understand they didn't play the greatest. But, and they didn't shoot the greatest. But you're on the road in Washington, and you found a way to win. I got to give the Raptors credit for that.
Well, credit's due,
now, before we break down, kind of what we're expecting moving forward, any issues that we have towards the team, any good stuff coming up. Obviously they played Atlanta tonight, and then they played Detroit in a back-to-back on Wednesday, and then Friday is arguably. Now, I wouldn't say the biggest game of the season, but it's probably going to be the most anticipated.
The Rockets.
You got the number one seeds battling it out. The Houston Rockets, who are on an absolute tear right now.
Who would have thought when the season...
won 15 straight.
Who would have thought when the season first began, the Raptors and Houston would be the top 2 teams in the league?
Yeah, everyone's thinking, Golden State and Cleveland. That's the initial thought.
I mean, the Rockets were,
They're good. Adding Chris Paul, I think, was a great deal for them.
I think so, too.
But I didn't think it would put them this far over the top.
I think the Raptors would be...
45-17.
Not at all.
Because coming into the season, we're like, the bench is the big issue. Clearly, that's been the best thing that's happened to this team.
That's
going to be a fun matchup. That's going to be one heck of a game. I know one of the guys I know is going to be at that game. Lucky guy, man.
Yeah, those are premium tickets, though.
Absolutely. But, however, you got to take care of business first.
Mm-hmm.
You got Atlanta tonight, a team you should crush. I mean, the Atlanta Hawks are like, what,
20-44.
Yeah.
I just checked, yeah.
20-44.
That's a team. It's a 3-way tie for last in the East. Them, Brooklyn, and
Orlando.
Yeah.
Right. We saw what Orlando did to the Raptors a little bit ago. But I don't know. I mean, that's a team you got to beat. You played Detroit in Detroit the night after. But, I mean, last time the Raptors faced Detroit, they had an amazing second half. They had a terrific second half and blew them out the rest of the way. That's an 8 o'clock tip-off there. What this team needs, and I love what we've seen this year from. I think the difference between this year's team and last year's team is the trust factor between Kyle and DeMar. You look at last year, DeMar was averaging 26, 27 a game. Lowry was averaging 19, 20 a game. I mean, that's great. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But this year, the assist numbers for those guys are through the roof. You look at DeMar and Kyle last game. I mean, both guys were like, they were all right. You know, they did okay. They didn't shoot the ball well collectively. I mean, what? DeRozan had 19 and Lowry with 14. Both guys shot, DeRozan shot 41% and Kyle with 38%. Not all that great. Yeah. However, they combined for 13 assists. DeMar had 8 assists, Lowry with 5, and Lowry had 10 rebounds. You don't expect that from your littlest guy out there. You don't expect that. And DeMar, your premier shooter, your best shooter out there, I mean, you don't expect him to get 8 assists. But the way this team is trusting each other, the way they're trusting JV now that he's incorporated the 3, now that they've, what they've done with Serge Ibaka, who has 17 points, 8 rebounds, 6 of 9 shooting, 3 of 5 from 3. Because a lot of teams are putting a lot of pressure on Kyle and DeMar. So what are they doing? They're using their teammates to give JV a wide open 3. He's knocking that down. For goodness sakes, the big man who never shot a 3 before this season is 48% from 3.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, he's not taking like 5-6 threes a game like a lot of people do.
And you look at the NBA, hell, even 5-6 years ago, you would never see a big man go for a 3. But now, you look at developing.
Dwight Howard, Hassan
Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, that's the new NBA, and JV knew he had to adjust that to stay in the league. And clearly, he's bought into that.
No, he has. And he's really showing his worth as being the 5th overall pick we drafted him to be in 2011.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at his numbers, right? 11.9 points a game, 8.3 boards. Now, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's not sizable. It's not massive. But what he is doing is, I got to say, his defensive effort has been a lot better, too. I understand.
And he's still developing.
We give him a lot of...
Is he, 24?
I think 24? He's 25, if I'm not mistaken. Oh. He's 25.
Okay.
But, I mean, he's still in the prime of his career.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
And just looking at the standings right here, it looks like...
Raptors got a 1.5, right? Because Boston won yesterday.
They're tied, but the Raptors have 3 less losses.
Right, so it's a game and a half up on the Celtics, and because they won their last game. Cleveland won their last.
Tristan Thompson's.
It's funny. Did we think at the start of the season, I could say this to you, the Toronto Raptors, for one, are first in the Eastern Conference by a game and a half, and that game and a half back is not Cleveland. Cleveland is 8.5. Behind the Raptors. I never expected that.
And again, I'm not saying we have sole possession of first. We do not, because we're in an arms race with Boston right now. But
the good thing is,
with the Cavs,
with games in hand, and we have the same amount of wins.
Yeah.
So you win one of those 3 games in hand, you're first place.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and you, I mean, I don't know what their schedule looks like down the stretch. I don't know any of that. I know the Raptors' schedule is.
How many games do the Raptors have?
Oh geez, oh gosh,
55. They played 62 games, so that's
62
20
games,
more.
so 20 more games. There are 20 left. Funny thing is, we are 17. So the team who is 9th place and out of the playoffs is Detroit with 17 games back. Bottom line, we're almost clinching a playoff spot.
Yeah,
I mean you look at it from that standpoint.
And being first in the East, we'll be facing the Bucks rematch of last year's.
Yeah, can Milwaukee win a few games because I don't want to face them.
Or
I do
Miami.
I don't know who I'd rather face.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't want to face 76ers at all.
I would want to avoid the 76ers as much as...
I would kind of want to face Miami, not going to lie.
I love the Eastern Conference this year. Yeah. I just love it. Because you go into this season...
Well, you look at them compared to the West.
Did you expect the Indiana Pacers to be 10 games over 500 and 4th in the Eastern Conference? No! I don't think... After trading Paul George, did anybody expect... They expected, okay, they're on a rebuild, they're going to be one of the bottom teams
in the league.
They
got a good return for Paul George, though.
They did. Oladipo has been terrific. He has been fantastic for that team.
Right,
he's averaging 23 and a half a game.
24.
24?
Yeah, 24.
He's averaging 24 a game.
That was Corey Joseph, actually.
Corey Joseph. 10.9 points a game. Or I'm looking at minutes. I'm looking at minutes.
8 points for Corey Joseph, 7.9. So that's kind of what you expect. Yeah. But Lance Stevenson looks like the old Lance Stevenson from 2014. Look at got. Yeah.
Before we start breaking on the entire league, I want to keep going with the Raptors for a little bit here. Going into the year, we didn't really know what we had. We knew we had the same type of teams, so we're like, oh boy, we're going to be like 2nd or 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, and we're going to second round exit, that kind of deal.
Just going into the same roster we had last season, we thought it was going to be a whole retool after the Cleveland series.
We have seen so much change. The amount of threes they've taken, yes, that's a huge, big difference from last year.
It's not necessarily from DeMar. Yes, he has been playing extremely well, but I feel like it's more, like you said, the bench and the young guys.
Yep.
Is he still hurt?
Yeah.
All right. OG's still hurt, I get that. But again, you have DeLon Wright. You have that guy we got from Cleveland or from Sacramento. Has he been playing?
Malachi Richardson, no, he hasn't.
No.
He was just a return for...
okay. But again, stocking up on the draft picks, drafting well, Masai Ujiri.
And then
trust.
Having, you know what, as much as, like...
We keep talking about the young guys.
Well, yeah, but being a good team... You gotta have...
And having young guys to see, all right, well, you know...
gotta have chemistry with your team. I mean, there's no question about it. Chemistry is...
And that's great.
You look at the way Cleveland... I mean, they trade for Isaiah Thomas. Yes, he was out for most of the season.
Even with them getting rid of Isaiah and retooling the team in trade deadline, are they really doing that much better? No.
And everyone's gonna say, oh, here we go. Cleveland's still winning the Eastern Conference. They're still going to the NBA Finals.
But you never know.
You have LeBron James. I know. That you can never, ever count out LeBron.
No.
But the team around him, I just don't know if they're good enough.
I don't know. Yeah, again.
I just don't know if they're good enough.
I don't know if they're good enough, but again, you can't because they do have playoff experience. They know how to win a championship. I get it's with a whole different team. They had to do it trade deadline. They had to get retooled. Notes out. Cleveland, Tyronn Lue.
They had to make a move. They had to.
Oh, yeah.
They were in awful...
I feel like they are looking like a better team than they were before the trade deadline, 100%.
Right.
But I don't know if they're going to produce like they are a better team.
Yeah.
They're playing about 500 basketball right now.
The thing that...
that's not good.
You know what? This is funny. This is one of the first ever trade deadlines that I am ecstatic that Masai Ujiri did not make a move. A big move. He made, obviously, Bruno and all that.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Well, yeah, you didn't need to make a move. I mean, who are you... Everyone's like, oh, yeah, trade for Rodney Hood. Okay, well, who are you getting rid of?
Exactly, and that could mess up the whole rotation.
We don't have any draft picks to trade. Serge Ibaka will be traded that for.
And Carroll.
Yeah, don't even get me going on that
one.
But it's funny because I've never said that. You know, with the Leafs, I wanted them to make a move for a defenseman. They didn't do that. They traded for Buchanan, but I wanted them to make a move.
No,
Jays, same deal. Raptors, the past few years.
And I feel like last year we kind of had okay, we got we traded out Solinger for PJ Tucker. We got Ibaka last trade deadline. Did that? I mean, it helped, but I don't know if that really did. Again, with the whole playoff thing, did it really?
It really didn't. You got swept by Cleveland in the second round.
So it didn't.
You got swept. I mean, that's it.
And PJ Tucker obviously left in the offseason. We re-signed Ibaka, so that's good. But I feel like Ujiri this season did the right thing with not making any moves.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to hurt this chemistry at all.
No, you don't at all.
At all.
No. And and we're playing really, really good basketball.
We're 45-17. The last time we lost 2 games, and it's funny because this team, yes, we lose 1 game, and it's tough. When you lose, especially when you're battling for first place, and with Boston, who's a very good team, it's tough to lose games. But this team, whenever they've lost 1, they've come back with like 5 or 6 wins.
Yeah. So they're definitely playing over
expectations. Absolutely. I mean, my goodness.
My expectations this season was probably 3rd, maybe 4th place in the East if things were going a little sour. First place
place by a game and a half, and you have games in hand, and the Raptors are in a very good spot.
And any Boston Celtics fans listening to this podcast, I don't know if really anybody is. We understand that Hayward's out for the year. We know that. We understand that Kyrie Irving has a sore left knee, apparently.
Well, I mean, Kyrie Irving's been in and out of the lineup this year, and when he's in, they're good. They're very good.
With the addition of Greg Monroe, he wasn't like on Boston or on Detroit.
I know what Boston fans are going to say, and I understand it. They're young. Tatum, 20. Jaylen Brown, still very young. Terry Rozier, very, very young.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, then you throw in Kyrie, and we forget about him. He's still very young. Marcus Smart's still very young. You know, they're a very young team,
they are.
And they're very good.
And plus, they have veterans. Al Horford, I completely forgot was on the team.
Yeah.
Picked up, like I said, Greg Monroe.
And if Gordon Hayward healthy, you know, I mean,
scary.
They're a very good
on
team.
paper, they're scarier than the Raptors, for sure.
Absolutely.
But on paper, the Cavs were supposed to be first. And look at them now.
Okay, Hayward might not work. I mean, you just never know.
Boston's working out now without him. Maybe with him, it would be... You know what I mean?
It might discombobulate the team.
Exactly. So, happy how we are. Like we said, if the playoffs started tomorrow, we'd be facing the Bucks. We both don't want that.
I would prefer, out of the 3 teams, Philadelphia, Miami, and Milwaukee, I'd want to play Miami. Philadelphia scares the living tar out of me. Any team that... And it's funny, Cleveland would play Philadelphia, and everyone's like, oh, you know, LeBron's going to Philly next year. I don't even know. I mean,
I feel like he's gonna. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's gonna stay in Cleveland, but if things aren't working out, he is gonna.
I don't know. And Milwaukee, you can never count out the...
Just hopefully he doesn't decide his free agency team on live TV like he did for Miami back in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Milwaukee, they scare me. Because they have Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
They have Eric Bledsoe. And you can't forget, they're struggling right now. They're struggling right now because Malcolm Brogdon's hurt. Middleton's hurt. Dellavedova is hurt. Those are big, big pieces to their bench. They got Jabari Parker back. But they've lost some key guys. And if they get those guys healthy, I don't know if any of them are out for the season. I don't know any of that stuff. But if they get them back, that's a scary team.
But I would still want to play Milwaukee over Philadelphia. I would
Trust Philadelphia. I would too. But Miami Miami, they don't scare me as much.
No, they don't. Dragic, Tyler Johnson's always there.
Hassan Whiteside, that guy's a beast.
How's
Dion Waiters if healthy, but I don't think
Winslow,
he is. He had a good game last game, but he hasn't been playing.
I remember when Heat fans, Winslow dropped to 10th overall in the draft. That's a steal. Has he been looking? I get he's still young. I understand that, but 6.8 points per game.
Yeah, it's not great.
And he's starting.
Yep. Yep.
Right. So,
bottom line, we're gonna wrap it up real quick here. Raptors look good right now when it comes to getting the first place in the Eastern Conference. Again, we'll recap this next week, kind of like breaking it down again.
Yeah. But we just have to worry about, because right now it's not about making the playoffs, it's who we're facing. And
just
Raptors
staying healthy down the stretch.
And the Raptors in the past have, we're facing the Bucks, we're facing the Pacers. Easy
the Wizards back in the day, and we got swept.
Even Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That's when they had Paul Pierce.
And they wanted to face. I think they threw their last game just to face us, but. Doesn't matter there. That's the past. But as for this Raptor team, we just got to focus on our games right now. It
doesn't matter who we face. It could be the Bucks. It could be the freaking Pistons for all we matter. For all that,
I doubt they're 5 games out. I doubt it.
Bottom line is that we can't take anyone lightly when it comes to the first round, and that's what we've been doing for the last 2 years.
All we can focus on right now is getting the first place in the Eastern Conference, and then from there, once you've locked it up, if the Raptors do lock it up, then you start looking at that kind of stuff,
right?
Until you clinch. My first thing, clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah.
I understand they're going to make the playoffs. I get that. I know, but first off, you do that. Then you clinch first place. Then you worry about your other teams.
Yeah. And then you really break it down, and Dwayne Casey looking over tapes of the team we will be facing.
Yep.
You got to be prepared. We weren't prepared. We did win the series against Milwaukee last year, but we took them lightly, and it
My
showed.
prediction for you, I'm going to ask you a question here. So with the 20 games left, Raptors got 45 wins. Is it possible
60.
to get 60 wins? Now, they have to win 15-5 the rest of the way.
It depends how many of those are home games.
Well, there's quite a few. Now,
the
good news, you play Atlanta tonight and then Detroit tomorrow.
Both at home? Well, it doesn't really matter.
Detroit's on the road, but it's not too far away. You win those 2 games, you're 47-17, and you need 13-5 the rest of the way.
Tough.
Then you got Houston, and then you play New York, which is a team you should beat. Then Brooklyn, right? These are teams, and then Indiana. So it's like I don't know. I think they can do it if they keep going with the way they are.
Not even that. It's it's about the injury factor, and again, knock on wood.
All right, injury has not hurt the Raptors, and that's
because
great.
of the bench. I understand that,
right?
But you look again,
other than OG.
Hopefully, it never happens. But let's just say that you have DeMar, you have Lowry out a couple games. That could deter. I get the bench has been good. I bet the young guys have been good, but that can deter your team.
Absolutely, 100%. And
I don't think it'll be a big surprise. But to be honest with you, I think we'll get about 55.
I'm curious. Before we wrap it up, do you think the Raptors will break their season record of wins, which is 56?
That's tough.
That is
11 games left.
11-9.
For sure.
You got to go 11-9 the rest of the way.
You know what? I think that we can get 60 wins.
I think that's 60 wins is going to be tough.
But just the way we're playing right now, I feel like we can for 100%.
Not
100%, but
if the Raptors can find a way to beat Houston this Friday, it's not going to be easy, I know. But the good news is we're at home, and we've been one of the best teams.
And we all know the Houston when it comes to their defense, right?
Their offense is terrific.
Yeah.
You know that. But if the Raptors can find a way to go through Houston and beat them,
that's huge.
You have the 2 games today and tomorrow that are very winnable. You win those, you beat Houston. First off, you've won 7 straight at that point. And then you got New York and Brooklyn. Right? And that's what? 2, 4, that's 5 games right there. and then you got to go 10-5 the rest of the way, which is very serviceable.
But again, we can't say any team lightly. We can't say Brooklyn.
You just got to take it game by game, and where we're going to wrap it up is the Raptors play the Atlanta Hawks tonight at the Air Canada Center.
What's your prediction?
7 o'clock tip off. The Raptors got to win.
I say
they got to get a win by 10.
108-82. That's my.
You think the defense is going to be unreal?
I think so.
Okay, well, we'll hold you to that one.
Yeah. Moving on to the old Blue Jays.
We'll hit the baseball field for a little bit here. Not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the. I mean, last time we were able to break down kind of the season coming up, and we're not going to do the same type of deal.
Last week we talked about injuries. Injuries again.
We talked about the prospects as well.
Well, prospects and injuries, but I mean, like we're really going to focus on the injuries this week, right?
We talked about it last week about how injuries are going to be huge for this team. If this team can stay healthy in the rotation. I think this team lives and dies by the starting rotation. If Aaron Sanchez goes down with more blister issues and Marco Estrada can't find the strike zone and gives up home runs again, I think this team is not going to be even close to the playoffs.
No.
However, if Estrada stays healthy and is good, and the whole rotation stays healthy and good, I think this team the sky's the limit because the offense I think can do enough. But you've seen early in the season here, Josh Donaldson sat out to start with
Marcus
a little
Stroman
bit of a shoulder.
Still has the right shoulder,
the right shoulder inflammation or whatever you want to call it.
Still is not throwing. Still's not pitching.
Right, and we know Tulowitzki's not going to start the year with the team with the bone spurs.
It spring training 3-7 start. What do you think about that?
I'm not worried about it. I mean, I look at the games. I watch the game, or no, I don't watch the games, but I look at the box score and everything, and I'm looking at the guys who are messing up and who's having a rough outing. These are guys that aren't going to be on the team this year.
No.
Right? And you got to look down the stretch, down in the tight games near the end. We lost 4-2 to Philadelphia in the last game. How many starters did you have in the 8th and 9th inning? Not many at all. So it's like it's really hard to gauge.
Exactly like preseason, they're just showing up the young guys, but it's gonna be. Is it late?
Late March.
Late March.
Late March. They start the season against the Yankees, and that's a big test early on. I mean, it really is.
I don't know if we talked about this last podcast, but what's your prediction on the division?
Oh boy. Well, I think the Yankees and Boston are going to tank it out for first place.
Who's number one?
Oh God. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's so tough to say. Boston, if David Price can pitch well for Boston, I think they can do it just because of their rotation and their batting is their offense is good enough.
Chris Sale over David Price, no?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying if David Price can turn the clock back and beat David Price, you have two unbelievable starters. And then you throw in some other guys that could possibly fill the role. And then the Yankees, they have a more of a stable rotation. I mean,
nothing too
wow, like this guy is an MVP candidate.
Still CC Sabathia on the team?
They actually just signed him back in the offseason. I mean, he had a great playoffs for them, but yeah. Luis Severino is a guy that was their ace last year, and he looks to keep going. They have Aroldis Chapman in the bullpen and Dylan Betances, who can't throw a strike for his life.
He's deadly in the bullpen. Fastest pitcher.
Oh, yeah, he throws like straight gas. And
103.
Something like that. I think he hit 105 at one point. It's nuts. But I think those two are going to battle it out at the top. I don't know who's going to come out with it.
I completely forgot they had Sonny Gray, actually, right?
I totally forgot about it, too. So they have him as well, and they have him on some money, too. Some term as well. But I think they're going to tank it out for the 1-2, and the problem is only one person can come first. So that second team,
their bats are going to overpower the.
I don't know. They always say good pitching beats good hitting.
Again,
that's why I'm saying the Jays rotation.
Boston has Jackie Bradley Jr. I understand that, but
they also have Xander Bogaerts, Mookie Betts, Hanley Ramirez, Andrew Benintendi, Devers who was unbelievable. Dustin Pedroia doesn't look like he's going to start the year with them, so that's that. But I mean, I don't know. The Boston Red Sox look very good. The Yankees, they look very good.
So
and the sad part is, like I said, one team can come first. That means a second team has got to be in the wild card. And if the Jays make the wild card, they'd have to play on the road against one of those two teams. Unless the Jays go unbelievable freakish baseball on us.
We have hope, but I don't think we are.
Well, you know what? Baseball's a fickle game. You can be really bad one year and really great the next.
Yeah.
And if this team can stay healthy, hey, I mean, who knows? Sky's the limit in my eyes. But
so you feel like, again, the Yankees and Red Sox are going to battle it out for first and second.
I think the Jays are going to be next.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay.
God, yeah. I mean, like I said, if healthy. But
and then you got the Orioles.
Orioles then Rays. Orioles then Rays.
Yeah, because Rays have been
they traded Evan Longoria. They got rid of Logan Morrison. They're basically clearing house here.
The really good player on the team is Archer.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been talks about him leaving. So I mean, there's that, and then the Baltimore Orioles. That team's a flippin' joke. Their offense is great. Adam Jones, Manny Machado, all these great players. That's fantastic. Trumbo Nation, all that stuff. And I mean, yes, they have some great hitters. They can leave the yard, whatever. But their pitching just sucks. I mean, they're awful. Their best pitcher last year probably had just barely an over 4 earned run average. You know, you look at their team. I mean, yes, Brad Brock is probably their best reliever. Zach Britton, I think he had an offseason, plus he was hurt last year. So that's just that. I mean, Dylan Bundy, he had an okay season last year, but he had some really bad starts. Andrew Kashner, he's not so great. Kevin Gausman was one of their best, but he still had his time. Their bullpen. You get late in their bullpen, you're going to have a tough time. You got Darren O'Day.
Those submarine pitchers.
Yeah, and then Michael Givens, who's got some freaky slider.
It's just the rotation, you feel
the rotation sucks. Last year they had...
But their bullpen is...
Their bullpen late is good, but the rotation and the middle relief is garbage.
Yeah. And they have the bats, but...
You can't do anything with just bats. Yeah. Good pitching beats good hitting. And clearly, I don't know why the Baltimore Orioles, even this year, don't do anything to improve their team pitching-wise. That's why I think they're going to be below the Jays. I think the Jays have a much better rotation.
All right. Yeah.
Much better rotation. And offense, yeah, maybe we're not as prolific, but we can do enough to beat the Orioles.
And like you said, it's more spread out when it comes to the rotation. And
absolutely. And our bullpen's much better. So, I mean... the Jays are definitely going to pass them, and Tampa's just they're just not even close to being great. But
and this is without all the injuries like we were going on about. And,
right, and you forgot about...
if we don't retool, if it's not working out, trade deadline comes, all right, maybe you can retool some...
And the funny thing is, you know, we talked about injuries, we didn't even get through the whole list. You got Steve Pearce, who left the game, I think it was not yesterday, 2 days ago, and didn't return. I don't know what the deal is with him. Randall Grichuk, he's day-to-day, but he made a diving play, and he got a little scuffed up. And I don't know if these... quote injuries are just like, yeah, I'm feeling a little so I want to come out and not play. Because maybe in the season they're like, oh yeah, we're fine, we'll play through it and they'll be fine. But it's spring training. You don't want to aggravate anything. You don't want to do anything crazy. I don't know if that's the case. With Stroman, clearly it's something big. Clearly it's something big when it comes to Tulowitzki. But the great thing about what this management did in the offseason, they did not trust the health of Tulowitzki. They still don't trust the health of Devin Travis, who hasn't been hurt in spring yet, but he's looked okay. They got Aledmus Diaz and Yangervis Solarte. Both guys can start, and they're serviceable starters. So Aledmus Diaz is going to start instead of Troy Tulowitzki to start the season.
Is that the right thing?
You don't hear me complaining.
There you go.
This
you
guy,
don't hear T.O. Sports not complaining. It should be, and again, this is kind of what we're getting into with the whole age thing. Troy Tulowitzki, 33 years old.
Gosh, Josh Donaldson's around the same thing, but he's obviously
so why not see with these young guys? I mean, it's kind of odd that they're not.
That's the kind of shocking thing to me about why they clustered the bullpen so much. I mean, the outfield. They got Granderson and Grichuk. I'm okay with that, and they DFA'd Ezekiel Carrera, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But they signed Granderson. They have Pierce. They got Teoscar Hernandez, who I thought was going to be a starter this year. You got Pilar. You got. Did I mention Randall Grichuk in there? Let me do it again.
Yes.
Randall Grichuk, Kevin Pilar, Teoscar Hernandez, Curtis Granderson, and then Steve Pierce. That's 5 outfielders. That's 3 outfield. I mean,
who can play?
So who's going to start?
Yeah.
I mean, Pilar's going to be in center. We know that. I'm pretty sure Randall Grichuk's going to be either right or left. Okay, so that leaves you with Granderson, Pierce, and Teoscar Hernandez. Well, we loved what Hernandez set a Blue Jays record for home runs in September last year.
So why not?
For a rookie. And that's terrific. He had 8 or 9 home runs in the month, and this guy, he's never really found himself in the bigs yet.
So again, do you start with a young guy who can have some errors, have whatever, or do you go with a more reliable outfielder in Granderson and
I don't
Pierce?
know.
And plus, didn't you say Pierce can play left, right, or field?
He can play first base as well.
Well, there you go.
But the thing with Pierce, he looks lost in the outfield. Whenever there's a fly ball hit, you think, oh God, oh God, oh God.
What was his natural position? Was it?
I think it's outfield and first base. I think it's more or less first base. Okay. But I mean, we already have Justin Smoke and Kendrys Morales who can play there, so you're not going to see Pierce there too much.
So is he expandable? You can't get much back.
I mean, probably not. No. But
you never know. But no,
it's great to have depth. And Teoscar Hernandez, worst case scenario, Teoscar Hernandez goes down to AAA Buffalo, which I don't want, because that's what Houston did to him last year, and that's why we got him. But you'll have Curtis Granderson, Steve Pearce, Randall Grichuk, Kevin Pillar, and that was it. That would be 4 outfielders.
Yeah.
So you have your extra outfielder in there. It could be Curtis Granderson because he's an older guy. I mean, it could be you could switch in and out every game, or whoever's hot, keep them in.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, if injuries play the role they do, and let's say Steve Pearce goes down or Curtis Granderson goes down, you have Teoscar Hernandez to come in.
And that's what I was just going to say. There's not such a thing as having too much depth. Depth is great.
Yep.
Players might get pissed off that they're not playing,
yeah,
and they're just sitting, in the press box, whatever, or like being sent down, like you said,
Buffalo, yeah.
to Buffalo, right?
Yep.
But like you said, if a player gets injured, boom.
Yep.
You won't have to bring up anyone who cannot produce and cannot do well.
Right, because we saw the Jays last year. I mean, we talked about the depth in the starting rotation, and it no good. Like it was garbage last year. You had guys that, you saw guys like I forgot his first name, but Anderson, who pitched for us last year. You saw Nick Tepesh, who they signed to a minor league deal. That guy was god awful.
Yeah. And that's
but they went through so much. Chris Rowley was another one they used in the rotation.
That's the one thing
because if Aaron
out.
Sanchez was so hurt, he couldn't do anything with it. So that was a big problem. Now they kind of, we've seen Joe Biagini in the spring. He's looked pretty good. I've been impressed with him so far. I mean, it's really early to tell. Jaime Garcia, I think, is their main look. I mean, he's their lefty in the rotation, the veteran lefty who's been has had a terrific career. He's still got some tank left in him.
Yeah.
He only signed him to a 1-year deal, so it's not a big issue there. But I think he's the guy that's got the spot right now, and someone's going to have to beat him for the spot. And if anybody, it's going to be Joe Biagini, but I would love it. I would love it if Jaime Garcia is good. It's good enough to take that 5th spot, and if Joe Biagini can be in that bullpen, because we've seen in the past how good he is back there. Well, he's his best when he's in the bullpen pitching 2 innings, an inning, possibly 3 if you need it. He's dynamite.
Yeah.
But it all depends on if Garcia tanks the spring training and he's no good, then I don't know if you can trust him. Mm-hmm. But I think they'd give him a shot. So it's a lot of questions and a lot of health questions.
Yeah, like you said, definitely a lot of questions. And I was actually going to get into the next kind of subtopic here.
Yeah, real quick here
about Hugh Darvish. There was a couple. Again, there was a couple of Jays fans saying, "Oh, why not? Maybe bolster our rotation a little bit." But what's your opinion on the whole Hugh Darvish signing with the Cubs and losing Jake Arrieta?
You know what?
I don't like the move at all for the Cubs, really.
Well, it's funny because, I mean, you see what Darvish does in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at the Jays. I remember back when we played Texas.
2015 or 2016?
I think it was 16. Yeah, it was 16. Where the Jays...
15, he was hurt.
Look, I'm sorry. When Ezekiel Carrera and Kevin Pillar go back-to-back on you in a playoff game, there's something wrong. Yeah. And then Edwin hit another one back-to-back-to-back.
All-star.
Right, and he really...
No, he
crapped the bed in what was it, Game 6 or I forgot? I think it was Game 7 of the playoffs last year against Houston. I mean, he was atrocious.
He's getting up there too
in his last start. So that's that, and he's 31 years of age as well. But a lot of Jays fans talking, let's go after you, Darvish. Let's get Jake Arrieta. I mean, okay, look, those are the same Jays fans that say, well, let's re-sign Donaldson. Well, you're not going to be able to get both.
Exactly.
There's talks right now about Josh Donaldson not even coming back next year without these guys. You sign one of these guys, you can kiss them goodbye right now.
Yeah, and
so
they have a just trying to think here. Baseball has a cap. They have a cap or payroll.
They have a payroll. So that's why teams like Oakland and stuff are tough to get through because they have a low payroll.
That's why the Yankees can get all
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And again, that's definitely another topic when it comes to the whole. I feel like every sports team should not have
They should have a salary cap.
They shouldn't have a payroll because
same
thing with NFL, same thing.
Well, yeah, because then you have the down teams like Oakland,
like the Dolphins.
Yeah,
like the Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins can't sign any free agents because they have the lowest payroll in the whole league. Well,
same with Oakland. They always draft and develop these great players like Sonny Gray and Josh Donaldson, but they trade them because they can't afford them
for scraps. Like
Brett Laurie, Kendall Graveman, and Graveman's an all right starter for them. He was hurt last year, and then Brett Laurie, he's not even playing baseball anymore. So it's like. That's just that.
He's not playing baseball.
Well, I mean, I think he got let go by I want to say the White Sox by somebody last year.
He's probably playing in like the Japanese.
I don't even think he's there. No. So I mean, that's just what our opinions on that. We'll get to that at a later day when there's not as much to talk about.
No.
But I think we're just about going to wrap this baby up.
So too.
I mean, we've broken down everything we wanted to cover today.
And we did listen to your constructive criticism. We will be adding the timestamps in the description.
Yep.
So we're going to have it for the Leafs, the Raptors and Jays.
Yep.
And again, we're probably not going to start with the Leafs all the time, for example. It's just what's going on.
It's just what's any big things.
Big things, we'll start with the team. Obviously, the Jays are last because
It's still spring training right now, right? And with the Leafs, I mean, the Stadium Series, we really, really want to talk about that. And obviously, the goalie interference was a big problem as well.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if the Raptors find a way to beat Houston on Friday night, we might even start with them.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we're talking about.
And it doesn't matter who we start with, really. We love all Toronto teams. So, again, we're going to put the timestamps in the description so you guys can click whatever you want. Hey, if you don't like the Leafs, if you don't like the Jays, and you just want to watch the Raptors, click that timestamp. We have it.
And yeah, I mean, like, it would just make it a lot easier for you guys to get through and
podcast if you only like one sport out of the three.
Exactly. It makes a lot more sense. Now, before we wrap things up real quick, I just want to mention something. I know I talked about it in my 2,000 subscriber video. The playoffs are upon us. They are very close. Obviously, like we said, the Raptors are 20 games out, and the Leafs are under 15 games out. So we're right there. Now, I know I said it in the 2,000 subscriber video, but I'll say it on here if you guys have made it this long. Evan and I will both, and possibly some other guys,
a couple buddies of ours.
I mean, if they can make it, obviously, we'll be down at the Square. You know, watching obviously on the big screen.
We're not going to call it a fan meetup because that's a little.
No, it's just if you guys want to join us and watch the game and have a good time, then hey, join us. You know,
drink a couple of beers if you guys are of age.
Yeah, and it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. All right. So hey, that's going to wrap this baby up.
That's going to wrap it up.
That's going to wrap up this week's TO Sports Talk podcast.
Again, like we said, every Tuesday we're going to be doing this every Tuesday. If you guys have some more constructive criticism, we'll love to hear it in the comments. Yeah. But we listen to you guys. Timestamps will be coming. When this is uploaded.
Yeah, it'll be uploaded for you guys very, very shortly. We were hoping about 1 o'clock. I mean, it's already 12:11, so we'll have to wait and see. But you guys don't know when it's uploaded. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Hope you guys have enjoyed the first 2 episodes of the podcast, and hopefully we can continue this rolling week by week.
If you like this, click the subscribe button. Turn on the bell too for any
notifications.
Yeah, notifications.
Turn on the notification button. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Comment down below what you guys thought of this. And I guess we'll talk to you guys next week as Raptors.
Well, you'll talk to them.
Well, I'll talk to you guys today, Raptors edition, as they're taking on the Hawks. We'll talk to you guys
But
Saturday Leafs edition as they're against Pittsburgh,
and then
Jays edition Monday,
and next Tuesday,
and obviously next Tuesday
edition we'll
be talking here. You know, us two will be talking again.
Here. Yeah.
And we'll be talking once again about these 3 teams and a little bit around the league as well.
Exactly.
And hopefully a Raptors dub against the Rockets. That would be very interesting to talk about. That'll be very interesting to talk about. All right, so thank you guys so much. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll talk to you guys next Tuesday.
Peace.